Hi guys, it's April and I garden down in southeast Nebraska, zone 6A, formerly 5B, and I think it's been about 3 weeks since I've done a garden tour, a garden update, whatever you want to call this thing. I did decide to go on vacation there for a bit, and the garden has definitely changed because of it and because of the weather we've been having. We have been having so much rain, it's ridiculous. And then we're reaching into the triple digit Fahrenheit numbers quite frequently, and I can't say I'm excited about it, and I can't say that some of these plants are excited about it, but the garden keeps on growing. So let me show you everything that has been going on in my little piece of paradise. So I'm actually going to start right here, right next to me. So as you can see over there, we've got my pumpkins that have managed to survive the roly-poly apocalypse, but it's looking very lime green. So I'm gonna hit it with some fertilizer. I'm trying to get my hands on some worm castings, and that's what I want to use on a lot of the plants that seem to be struggling a lot more than I'm used to. So that is what I'm hoping to do with this pumpkin. Otherwise, I don't think it's gonna make it. But you saw right before I came back here that my nursery doesn't have nearly as many plants because I used some of the plants out where I pulled the garlic. But B, I have been growing my very own hornworm. Can't even focus on it. I haven't done anything with this guy, mainly because these plants I'm not going to use anywhere, so I'm curious to see the various life stages of the hornworm, so I'm letting that one go. All the rest of them I'm going to be removing with much prejudice, I guess you could say. Over here, I mean, the strawberries are sprawling, which is what I want. And we are on our second flush of the chives. We're not going to get peaches this year. I've probably mentioned this before. We didn't get any blossoms, so no peaches this year. This is where my heart hurts a little bit more. This volunteer squash of whatever kind, it looks like it's a cross between a pumpkin and a zucchini. It's not doing too hot. The bugs have definitely taken their toll, unfortunately, and I don't know if there's any way to save it, but I keep on trying. I've also been struggling with the pots because of the temperature. They need a lot more water than a once a day watering takes, so I've had to water them quite frequently. While I was gone, they took a little bit of a hit, but I think they're bouncing back at this point because, as you can see, they're pretty lush, and we've got some pretty serious tomatoes on some of these tomato plants. So I'm excited to see those. Though I have been harvesting a good handful of tomatoes here and there. It's just not what I'm used to at this point in July. I'm usually getting at least a small basket, but we're not there. And here's my corn experiment, and it is fascinating to see the difference between these two sets of corn. I'm going to go back to the other side because you can see it a little better over there. Yeah. So as you can see, the corn over here in the part of the soil that has had compost and cover crop for at least 2 seasons now is twice as big as the corn that has just been thrown into the ground with pretty much nothing. I gave it a little bit of compost, but not a lot. But the difference is astounding. I did not expect to see it this soon, but you can definitely see what a difference the active choice of putting down compost, of putting down a cover crop, can actually do without doing a soil test. I have been thinking about hitting this with just a little bit of worm casting as well, but we'll see. It looks like the ground cherries are starting to get some fruit. So we should start seeing some of those probably in another 2 to 3 weeks, which is exciting. And then back there, about a foot tall at this point, those are both okra. Here, I have another volunteer squash of some kind, probably going to turn out much like the squash plant that is not making it, but we'll see. It's another one of those experiments. I'm going to walk you back to the beds. Okay, let's see. You can't really see the onions from here. As you can tell, the onions are probably ready to be harvested. Most of them are flopping over, especially the red onions. So I need to pick a weekend and pull all those out, let them cure a little bit. Most of these aren't very long-term storing onions, so I'll have to process them relatively soon. The tomato plants are getting tall, and I need to trim them up a little bit and tie them up. I have not done that since I have gotten back. But this basil, look at this basil. And like I said, I've been getting a good handful of tomato, maybe once a week. But overall, a lot of these tomato plants are not looking the best. We get a lot of water too quickly, and so I'm losing a lot of tomatoes to blossom and rot because the soil is too saturated and it can't take up the calcium. So I'm losing a lot of various tomatoes because of that. I've probably lost as many tomatoes as I have actually been able to harvest. And of course, over here, we've got the same thing. We've got the really tall tomato plants, these onions. They're starting to flop, but they're not as floppy as the red onions. And we've got a very happy basil plant that is being covered by a tomato, which I need to trim. But I do enjoy how ridiculous these carrots have gotten. We are starting to fight freaking beetles. They're all over. And then smothered in here, which I'm not going to do it this densely again, but smothered in here we've got some eggplant. Done a couple harvests of this so far. And of the green beans. Haven't seen any tomatoes from these plants, but I'm still waiting. And of course we've got more beans. See if I can get over here without tripping myself. This is where my ground is a little unlevel. You can see the potatoes are also ready to be harvested, so I need to do that. I have done a small harvest for the 4th of July, so I could make a potato salad, and they were pretty good. But I just need to come through here and get the rest of it. Plus, it looks like I've got some grass that is invading that I need to get rid of. How rude. But that is this bed. So I will admit that this is getting ridiculously crazy right here. As you can see, this is a cherry tomato plant, and they just go wild, and so it's taking over. I need to do some serious maintenance. And not only that, the jelly melon has finally decided that it's time to thrive and is going absolutely nuts. It's going everywhere but up. My hope was it would go up. I keep trying to train it up because in the next couple weeks we are going to start pulling out the sod around the beds because I am tired of fighting the grass. But it's going to make it a little more complicated because it's decided that, hey, I'm going to exist exactly where you don't want me right now. And the poor backup zucchini plant is probably going to get smothered out. But I keep hoping that it won't. But otherwise, we've got, like I said, we've got this tomato plant that's going crazy over here. It's actually 4. I think there's 2 cherry tomatoes in there, which is why it looks as ridiculous as it does. And then the same can be said for everything over here. Getting lots of green tomatoes. And I'm looking forward to all of them ripening. But otherwise, it's a wild mess. Even this over here is just pure chaos. And this usually is what happens when I go on vacation during the gardening season and I come back and everything's gone a little wild. It usually means that I've given up maintaining after vacation because I don't want to fight it anymore. All of these onions probably need to be pulled at this point because they've all flopped over. And then this thyme, the bed has sunken a little bit, but this thyme is starting to enjoy life. Stevia is pretty crazy right now. I need to do another cutting and another drying of it. And of course this lemon balm is looking good as well. Not sure why this thyme plant isn't doing nearly as well as the one on the other side, but it's just not happy. But the lemon sage is doing pretty good along with the lemon balm. Take you back over here. These potatoes are looking much greener than the other potatoes, so I might leave them in longer than the other batch, but they have flopped over a lot, so they could probably be harvested at any time. I did have to remove my banana pepper plant. Not sure what happened to it. I don't think anything got to it. Maybe it was just too much water, but the rest of the pepper plants don't seem to have suffered that same issue. So it was only that one plant that was starting to droop and all of the fruit were turning red. So I decided to just pull it because I do have another banana pepper plant, so I'll just harvest off of that. I have gotten some pretty large sweet peppers from this bed, which is saying something because I usually struggle with that. And then here we have the chickpeas, the garbanzo beans. And I think I'm gonna get a nice harvest of garbanzo beans this year. I'm super excited about that. I also like how this patch looks. It's just kind of fun. But that won't be for another couple of months. Garbanzo beans are a pretty long season crop, much like squashes, so we'll see how that goes. And then here is my spicy pepper bed that is being taken over by this squash. And it's another one of those things where I want to get the bed, at least around the bed, the sod removed, but if this is gonna happen, it's gonna be interesting trying to figure out how to work around that. Hoping the sod removal and mulch add only takes about a day, because then I can just tuck everything up into the bed so it can be worked around, but we'll see. But here is the other banana pepper plant. It's tucked into this spicy pepper bed because there was room. So it is one of 2 sweet peppers in the spicy pepper bed. But it's got a ton of peppers on it, which is, like I said, why I wasn't concerned about the other one being removed. But this bed, I'm still waiting for the harvest. It hasn't started nearly as quickly as the sweet peppers. But now I shall show you the change that the garlic bed has seen. Okay, first off, can I just say how ridiculously crazy this loofah has gotten? It is nearly to the top of the stairs at this point. And this is from a plant I thought wasn't gonna make it. And here we are. And the sweet potatoes. How ridiculous are those sweet potatoes? It's being decimated a little bit by beetles. I need to do another sweep through and get rid of those. But she's still thriving. Then I have all these pots. Some of these are from on top of the deck. And I haven't put them back since coming back from vacation. I put them down here so they get hit by the watering system. But here's the real change. I need to do another weeding of this bed because technically there's nothing right here, but we've got some grass encroaching. I do have this volunteer tomato plant that I'm just letting go. It's probably some kind of bumblebee cherry tomato. And here is where I put those pepper plants I was telling you about that used to be over in the nursery pots. Figured now that I had room, I could put them here. We'll see what happens with the loofah and some of these volunteer tomato plants. But I'm struggling so bad with zucchini this year. I think I'm gonna try yet another location of zucchini right about here. Put some seeds in. And then over here I have a volunteer tomato plant that I'm letting go. And I don't know if you can see it, but I put in some New Zealand spinach and it's starting to come up, which is good to see. I did do the same thing in this back bed. I pulled out all of the bolting lettuce and radishes. So right now it's all basil. It's really big basil plants. Right here I put some spinach seeds. Looks like at some point I'm gonna have to top off this bed with some soil. And then I think next year, if I do tomato plants over in this area again, here, I'm gonna have to definitely give them some kind of support. It's interesting that they're all leaning the same direction. Not sure why they decided to do that, but there they are. I think the final round is, hey, we've got some thriving strawberries after the struggle, but we do have one zucchini plant that is holding on for dear life over here. Will I get zucchini from it? I don't know. We're here to find out. And then I have some more okra, because everywhere that I could, I decided to throw in okra. See what happens. My blueberries, I mean, they're trying. Looks like the heat has gotten to them a little bit, but they're still here, and that's all I can hope for. But I think before I completely wrap up this garden tour, you guys can help me plant some zucchini. So that is the garden in the middle of July. As you can see, the humidity is starting to get to my hair, and I'm starting to get really warm. I did get out here super early so that I could do this tour without melting, but we've gotten to the point where the sun is really up and it's starting to heat up around here. So I am going to wrap this up and go inside and edit this video. I do try to do a garden tour about once a week if I am not doing something crazy like going on vacation or there being a holiday. But otherwise, I do try to do this weekly so that I have a record for myself to go back and look at how the garden is changing over the year. And I can kind of look back at years past to see how things have changed. Kind of like that aspect of it. But if you are interested in watching my garden grow, subscribe, hit the bell, do all the things to get all of the notifications. I also have a Instagram and Threads account where I tend to do regular harvest photos and thoughts and all of those kind of things a little more regularly during the season over there, and not so much over here on YouTube. But every once in a while, I'll throw those up on my community tab if you're interested. So feel free to check me out wherever you are comfortable. But with that being said, I do hope I will see you guys again in another video, and I heart you beautiful faces. Bye.